Etsy product descriptions. What a massive section of your Etsy listing. And what is even the point of it? Are you supposed to use your description to help you increase rank on Etsy and Google? Is the job just to describe what your product is for questions that potential buyers have? Or is it to convince people who come to your listing to buy? Is it a mix of all three? Well, if you're confused like I used to be, you're in luck because in this video, you're going to receive a free, proven, step-by-step Etsy description template that you can literally copy and paste into your Etsy product listings and ultimately see an increase in organic ranking and conversion rate on Etsy, which you can verify in your Etsy shop analytics. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Sumner Hobart. My wife and I have generated over $1 million in sales of our own products on Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, and other e-commerce marketplaces. And on this channel, we cover e-commerce topics that no one else seems to be talking about to make your life easier and ultimately to increase profit starting today. So if you like this video, consider hitting the subscribe button. Now let's get to that free template. As a quick recap, your Etsy description appears underneath the Add to Cart button on laptop. And as you can see here, that only the first few lines are actually visible. And in order for the shopper to see the rest of the description, they'll actually have to click learn more about this item in order to see the full description, which plays into the template that we'll be talking about here in a second. So that's where it shows up on the front end. On the back end, when you go to actually create a new listing or to edit an existing Etsy listing, once you do so, you'll go ahead and scroll down within your shop manager and you'll see the description section here, right? And as you can see from this example, it can actually be very lengthy, but we're gonna break this down into specific pieces and your Etsy description can be as long or short as you like, but I'd recommend having longer descriptions for a few reasons. Now, with these things being said, okay, let's clear up some confusion. What is the purpose of Etsy product descriptions? Well, like many things in life, there's more than one purpose. So number one is your Etsy descriptions, yes, can and will influence your Etsy keyword ranking and your Google keyword ranking, which a lot of Etsy sellers still don't know, and that's really powerful. The second purpose of your Etsy product description is to convert shoppers into buyers, people who visit your listing to ultimately purchase your product over all the other competitors or over no product at all. So those are the two main benefits. Of these two, the most important, in my opinion, and based on the data, is conversion rate, right? Getting people to ultimately purchase from you by convincing them to do so through the next template that I'm going to share with you. So you can kind of think about your product description as a salesperson, right? It's a salesperson that you create basically one time, and that salesperson sits on your Etsy listing, and every kind of shopper that comes into your store, right, comes into your listing to view your product. The purpose of that salesperson, that description, is to turn those shoppers into buyers. Okay, that's the primary function. And then secondarily, once we've kind of crafted this description, my recommendation would be to take keywords from your master keyword list. And what I mean by master keyword list, if you don't already know, we have a full video here on the channel covering the best keyword research tool that I guarantee you've never heard about before for Etsy, is that same list that you use to optimize of keywords that you use to optimize your title, your tags, your alt text, which hopefully you are doing with your Etsy images, and then also your description. So that same keyword list that you generated for your Etsy listing, take important keywords from that list and then input them into your description after you've already written it. So the main kind of focus is conversions, basically, for lack of a better word, making it sound good, and then going back over and then kind of improving the SEO from a keyword ranking standpoint. And that's gonna help you complete both functions as efficiently as possible. And now let's get to the meat of it. So right here, this Etsy description template, I'm gonna be giving to you for free. Link will be in the description section of this video for you to access. And obviously I'm gonna kind of just touch on what each of these 9 steps mean, just to make it clear to you, because on its own, it may not make a whole lot of sense. So it's not that complicated. It'll be kind of a lengthy description, but when it's broken down into 9 individual sections and you just focus on one section at a time, it actually can be very, very fast and makes things much, much easier. So our first part of our description is the hook. As you remember, the entire Etsy description isn't visible to shoppers. They have to actually click to learn more in order to see the entire description, right? And overall, the more time that someone spends on your listing, the more likely they are to turn into a buyer. This is the same thing with grocery stores, by the way, who actually have these little hacks they do in order to get you to stay in the grocery store longer. Same thing with social media channels like YouTube, right? Little hacks that creators do as well as the actual platform to get you hooked and ultimately to monetize you as much as possible, right? In this case, let's do so ethically, right? So in order to get people to read our description, to turn them into a buyer, the most important step is your headline, or really that first sentence of your description. And that's what's known as the hook. So what's the point of having the best Etsy description in the world if nobody reads it, right? And if you want to get people to actually read your description, you have to have a hook. You have to give them some kind of shocking, reason to click on learn more, right? And there's some different ways to do this, and I'll show you an actual example of this here after I go through the step-by-step process. But number one is we have to grab their attention with a hook. So that's step number one. If we don't do that, right, then they won't read the rest. And copywriting 101, one of the rules is the first line of text in whatever kind of you're writing, the goal is to get your reader to read the second line. The goal of the second line is to get your reader to read the third. The third is to get them to read the fourth, and so on until they get through the end of the description, and there's a call to action, which we'll talk about in a second, right? That's the goal. Your goal is to get them to read. So that's the hook. Number two is once we've grabbed our shopper's attention, we want to identify a source of pain. Now, why am I talking about pain here? As human beings, we are wired to go away from pain and go toward pleasure, okay? So if someone buying from you, they're trying to decrease pain and increase pleasure in some way. Even if that's something like a funny t-shirt for their mom. Maybe they're trying to restore a relationship with their mom. Maybe they feel like they've kind of been left out and they want, that attention, or their mother's actually going through something really hard right now and needs a laugh. You'd be shocked by even something, cute and funny, right? And how impactful that is, and actually that there's a lot of pain behind that purchase decision, right? Not to go down that kind of path, but we need to understand human psychology in order to sell to humans, okay? So first, we need to identify the source of pain and the reason that they're there on your listing and ultimately reading your description, right? So once we grab their attention, boom, we just identify, here's the source of pain. We know why you're here on this listing and why you're interested in this product. Number three is we're going to ethically agitate that pain, right? We are going to make the pain real. We're going to remind them or even show them how important that pain is. As a kind of more visual example, I actually helped one seller, this was not on Etsy, this was on Amazon actually, with a fire blanket. Basically a blanket that you put over mostly kitchen fires in order to stop kind of these grease fires from spreading and burning down the entire house. And as I helped him create his product description on Amazon, and I actually followed something similar to what we do here on Etsy, I was reading some different statistics on house fires that are caused by kitchens. Number one, in terms of how frequent house fires are, and also how many of them are started by kitchen fires. And it was shocking. And we made sure we included that because we wanted an accurate information on, hey, here's the, we already know that people who are on our listing understand there's, some kind of threat with kitchen fires. Well, did you know that it was this severe? It's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea, right? And it's actually a really great way of educating that shopper and realizing, just how kind of big that pain point is, right? So it's not doing anything unethical to where you're like manipulating them or giving them misinformation. That would be wrong. But giving them accurate information on how bad the problem is or how bad it can become, right? That is ultimately what we're doing here. And that's probably the most difficult part to understand, but it'll make much more sense once we go into the actual example. So that's number three. After we agitate pain, number four is we are going to introduce our product as the solution to their pain. The solution, not one of the solutions, right? How we are better than every other Etsy product, as well as better than just sitting and doing nothing. So just a quick introduction. Hey, here's the pain that you have. Boom, our product will solve this problem that you have, right? The next point, number five, at this point, shoppers are gonna be very skeptical. It's like, okay, you understand my pain, that's great. You just said that your product can solve my pain. I don't believe you. Prove it to me, right? They want proof, right? Or they want to at least understand where you're coming from. Like, how could this actually solve my problem? And the way you're going to do that is with benefits, okay? So we already have a video here on the channel covering features versus benefits, but as a quick refresher, and if you don't know, this alone is going to make it worth the time of watching this video. Features are what your product does. Benefits are what your product does for your consumer, okay? So an example, right? Weight loss pills. Features of weight loss pills, USDA organic, here's the ingredients that they're made of. They burn fat cells. Burning fat cells is a feature, not a benefit. It's what the product does. Benefit of using weight loss pills is confident going out in my swimsuit. I feel loved by my husband or wife again. That's the benefit. So burning fat cells, what's the point? That's the benefit. So always think about your product. Like, what does your product do? List all the cool things that your product does, the things that are unique about your product. So list those on one side, right, of, for example, like an Excel spreadsheet or just a piece of paper. And on the right side, ask the question to yourself, so what? Like, oh, like it burns fat cells, so what? Who cares? Well, it's going to make you confident when you work out. There's the benefit, right? And it may take a few times of asking, so what? Or what you can do, and this is kind of fun, is have a friend or a family member sit next to you and then, present, hey, here's what my product does. And then have them say, okay, so what? Have them shrug, so what? Or let's say you sell like a men's leather wallet, right? And you can say like, genuine leather, high quality, made in the US, custom made, like all of these different things about the wallet. The question is like, so what? So what? It's unique design or it's made of leather, like who cares? So what? So then the benefit could be, right? Every single time you pull that wallet out of your pocket, people are going to be asking you, where did you get that amazing wallet? That's a benefit, right? Social status, okay? So the feature, made of genuine leather, unique design, then the benefit, right? And I can go into more. If you want more, comment below and I'd be happy to help with your own product, but you get the picture, right? So the reason we're doing this, of starting with the benefit, and then as you see in point number 6, we're going to move to the features, is because there's a lot of neuroscience and studies specifically on consumer behavior. And we know for a fact that when making a purchase decision, human beings, their limbic system or the emotional part of their brain actually lights up and activates first, quickly right before the neocortex. So the limbic system is associated with more emotions, right? An emotional feeling. The neocortex is involved with more rational thought, right? And reasoning and logic. So what a lot of sellers make the mistake of doing is flipping. They do the features first, then the benefits, or they don't even list the benefits. It's extremely important. No one is going to buy from you if you don't hook them emotionally. If your description does not emotionally drive somebody, they're not going to buy from you, or they'll buy way less than they could. It's extremely, extremely important and fundamental to business, okay? So you really want to touch in and kind of pull on that emotional strand, and you really need to really scale on Etsy and anywhere for that matter. So that's kind of the reason we're doing this. It's actually baked into human psychology. So emotions first, we have that emotional connection. And then we move to step number 6, where once you emotionally connect with someone, they're like, okay, I'm emotionally connected, but I need my rational brain to kind of make sense of this before I make a decision. So it's kind of a mixture of both. First is with emotion, and we need to get that, otherwise we don't win. Then with the neocortex, with the rational thought. So first, here's the benefits, like here's what it's gonna do for you. It's like, okay, I feel really great. It sounds really awesome, but I'm skeptical, right? Then the neocortex comes in. Okay, I'm skeptical. I need you to prove this to me. And that's where we get into features, right? So then we start talking about, which is really simple, we've already written them down, right? What your product does, the cool things about your product, the things that make your product unique. Write those down. You can literally list them in order of kind of what your product has or kind of what they do. Now keep in mind, obviously, this is going to be the same template that can work for all kinds of products on Etsy, but it will change slightly depending on the product. So the base will be the same, but how it actually turns out in the end will be slightly different depending on your product. And obviously, I think you can kind of see why. So step number 6. Step number 7 is to resolve any final doubts. So after you've kind of written, think like your shopper at this point, and this is great with a friend or a family member, to kind of ask them, it's like, okay, would you have any other hesitation before buying? Like think to yourself, like, is there anything else that they could be worried about before buying? Like on a refund policy, or what if it arrives too late, or the wrong color, or whatever it might be, right? That's when you want to resolve any final doubts. Basically, if someone's read this far in your product description, and there's going to be a lot of people that bounce, and that's just a reality of nature. Most people aren't going to read your description, and most people won't read all the way through, but we're going to design it as best as we can to make both of those things happen, to get more people to read and to get more people to read all the way through. Why? Because then that means more sales, okay? So basically, someone who's read all the way to this point of your Etsy product description, they're pretty close to buying, but they may have some final doubts, and that one single final doubt, it's almost like a domino. If you don't knock it down, there's no sale, right? So we want to resolve any final doubts that they have. Once we've resolved the final doubts, and again, this will depend on the product. Number 8, the second to last step, is we want to evoke scarcity, right? Some form of scarcity. So it could be like a limited time offer, price will increase in the future. Now make sure obviously that you hold up to this. If the price isn't going to increase in the future or whatever that might be, there's only 10 in stock, like order now, limited addition, whatever it might be, right? Something about limited in terms of time or quantity of your product. Those are the two things you want to kind of focus on. And if you don't have any of that, you can create it. You can create artificial scarcity, which all premium brands do. All do. It's very, very powerful. If you don't want to do it, you can skip it, but it will absolutely help you increase your conversion rate. And finally, step number 9, which is called a call to action. So at the end of all of this, right, we need to finish with telling our shopper exactly what to do. What do we want them to do? Then write that action out directly. It's crazy. And this is all kinds of studies on social media following and engagement on actual purchase data with e-commerce and brick and mortar stores, is if you just add, a little block of text that says like add to cart now, or add this to your cart, buy now, shop now, just those little words at the very end, the amount that those little words increase actual sales is astounding. For how simple it is, for how little it is, and how big of an impact it has, it is astounding. So if you add the words right now, if you just go to your Etsy product descriptions, at the end of all your Etsy product descriptions, add the words add to cart now, you will see more added carts overnight. Right? Now, obviously, if you're not making a lot of sales, you won't see a lot more sales, right? Because it's about a conversion rate, but you will see your conversion rate go up across the board. This is proven in every category across, except in maybe very specific circumstances, but 99.5% of the time, this will absolutely increase your conversion rate just doing that one thing. So you want to end all of your descriptions with a call to action. In this case, it's going to be add to cart, not buy now. Because you have to remember, why are people going to Etsy, right? They're shopping, right? Some people are going to go and they're going to go find one thing and buy that one thing. So everyone who does that, they just go to Etsy, they buy one thing, right? They need to add that to their cart first. Number 2 is there's a lot of shoppers going and adding a lot of things to their cart before they buy. So if you tell someone to buy now, it's like, okay, well, I'm actually not ready to buy now. And again, this is all subconsciously. I'm not ready to buy now. I'd be ready to buy later. So when you tell them add to cart, they'll actually purchase more, even though you're not telling them to buy, if that makes sense. Anyway, if that's confusing, just use the words add to cart at the end, and you're going to see more people ultimately increase. And remember, our goal with the description is to get people to read the first line, to get them to read the second, the third, the fourth, and so on, all the way to the end. Now at the end, we don't want them reading anymore. Now we want them to add to cart. And we needed to go through each of these sections to kind of knock down each domino in order to get them to ultimately purchase from us. So that's the psychology behind this and the data, and this works, right? What I'd encourage you to do is to implement this description template in half of your Etsy products and leave your other Etsy product descriptions the exact same as they are now, or use another, YouTube influencer or another course's recommendation and look at this free template and what that does for your Etsy business in terms of total visits, if it increases or decreases, as well as conversion rate. You can see if it increases or decreases compared to the other half of your listings. And I can bet that you're going to see really great results with implementing this, as we have seen and many of our students have seen as well. So that's the 9 steps. So obviously it kind of makes sense conceptually, right? But we need to kind of understand how this actually works. So right here, I have an example. But before I get to that, as you see, here's a little note, as I mentioned before. So step 1 is going to be writing your description. Once you've written it, it sounds good, it's grammatically correct. Then what you want to do is go to your master keyword list and try to find strategic places to include keywords in your Etsy description. And a point that I want to make as well, if we go back here, okay, to our Etsy shop manager, if you scroll down past the description section, right, you see this very tiny text that says preview listing as Google search result. And you actually show the preview. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and you actually see how your listing can show on Google. Now, you won't see all of the description on Google. It'll be the first 140 to 160 characters. So you want to make sure that those first 160 characters of your description include some keywords. Very, very important. So right here at the very kind of beginning, kind of see here, you want to make sure, if it makes sense, to try to add at least 1 or 2 key phrases, right? So a keyword that's like 2 or 3 keywords long to include there for Google search results, because that's going to help you increase ranking specifically on Google. And it's also going to help you on Etsy as well. But the point of that is specifically for Google keyword ranking. So again, you can add keywords throughout all of your listing, and I'd recommend doing so, but especially in the first 160 characters. So you see how this is really focused on converting over keyword ranking, right? And that's really ultimately going to help you. And by the way, if Etsy sees that your listing is increasing in conversion rate, there's a very good chance they're going to show it to more customers, because you're basically telling Etsy, hey, out of 100 people that come to my listing, let's say 5 out of every 100 come and actually purchase, right? Where all my competitors, it's only 2 out of every 100. Etsy's likely going to show you to more people because it converts better, right? Because it's going to satisfy more of their audience, right? And it's not an exact science, right? There's other factors that are in play, but an increasing conversion rate will actually help you with ranking on Etsy as well. Okay, and that's the reason for it. All right, as an example, right, we're gonna cover real quick hook, identify the source of pain, agitate it. We're gonna introduce our product as the solution, state our benefits, state our features, resolve any potential doubts. We're gonna evoke some scarcity if we have it, and then we're gonna tell them to add to cart. Pretty simple, right? So let's get to it. So here we go. Example, what? What, question mark, exclamation point? Did you know that 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years of opening? This is a true statistic. Even worse, only 40% of businesses generated more than $1 in profit last year. Only 40%, right? It's crazy. So why do so many Etsy businesses fail? Why are so many unprofitable? It's simple. They don't know their numbers. How can you increase profit when you don't even know what your real Etsy profit was last month? Where are we right now? We're in the agitation of pain point. We have here, what? Did you know 50% of businesses fail? Right? This is our hook. So like kind of shocking. Did you know 50% of businesses fail? That's shocking. That would stop me in my tracks. That's such a different Etsy description. I'm like, I've never seen this on Etsy. I wouldn't expect to see this on Etsy. It's almost educating me and warning me. Like, what? So I'm definitely going to click to read more of the description. But you see how you need to be different from every other seller? Like if you want to be a top 1% Etsy seller, you need to not be like 99%. Don't do what 99% of people do. And this is true in life. If you want to be normal, be like everyone else, you want to make the same money as everyone else, then do what they're doing. If not, you need to be different. Now, just because you're different doesn't mean you're going to be successful. But if you have the right process, then you can be. So that's our hook, right? This is kind of an extension of our hook as well as identifying the pain, right? So our pain is businesses, your Etsy business is generating, is either unprofitable or generating very, very low profit. That's the pain point, right? And then we're going to agitate it. So how can you increase profit when you don't even know what your Etsy profit was? How can you reduce expenses when you don't have all your expenses on and off of Etsy listed in one place? How can you collect and give accurate tax information when you don't even know what or where to get it? So right here, we're agitating pain points. And this product, as you can kind of tell, right? I'm hoping the description is going to describe it for you so I don't have to, but it's an Etsy bookkeeping tool. And by the way, it's a real tool. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just using this because if you're watching this video, you're probably an Etsy seller. So this is kind of a way to really connect with you and see how this is building an emotional connection. So how can you collect and give accurate tax information when you don't even know what or where to get it? When you don't have a simple, clean place that collects and lists all of your monthly and yearly Etsy revenue, expenses, cost of sales, net margin, ROI, for all of your products, what happens is you spend hours of time and stress trying to figure out all of your important numbers for taxes on your own. After 8 hours of pulling out your hair and crying in the corner of your room, you might figure it out, but most times Etsy sellers end up hiring an expensive tax professional or service that makes you do most of the work yourself just to tell you you generated $0 net profit last year. Ouch, right? So now this is an example of really agitating the pain. And you can be as long or short with this as you want. It definitely depends on your product. In this case, this is quite a long description for agitating pain, okay? So it talked about kind of not knowing your own profit, as well as another pain point is having to hire tax professionals. So there's actually multiple pain points here, all revolving around not knowing your profit. So stop worrying, there is a better way. Let me introduce you to the Easy Etsy Bookkeeping Spreadsheet by Digital Dalmatian, okay? So now where are we, right? Took a little bit of time, but where are we now? We're now at number 4. We're introducing our product as a solution. We grabbed their attention with that crazy statistic at the beginning. We told them that your pain we identified their source of pain. Your numbers are a mess. You don't know what your profit is. You don't even know if you're profitable, how to increase profit, right? Then we agitated the pain. Here's all the problems that come with that. But don't worry. Our product is a solution, which by the way, if you're selling on Etsy or anywhere, your product should be a solution. Don't downplay your product, right? So number 1, either your product is crap, which unfortunately in a lot of cases it is, and you need to kind of own up to that. Or number 2, your product isn't crap. Your product is amazing. It's so helpful. And that's more likely the case, but you're a little bit afraid to put yourself out there and to really describe it that way. But you need to. Otherwise, they don't know, and the shoppers never will. And your competitors will do a better job, even if they don't have a better product, and can convince and ultimately capture that market share. So very, very important. So introduce your product as a solution. Next, we should be stating our benefits, followed by features. So let's see how we do that. So this is the only Etsy bookkeeping template that will easily track and show your exact revenue, expenses, and profit every single product, every single month, to keep your life organized and makes tax season an absolute breeze. So 2 benefits here. It's going to make your life easy. It's going to easily track everything. The key word there is easy, okay? The next is make tax season a breeze, okay? It's going to take all your worries away. It's going to reduce stress, right? It's going to make things easy for you. It's going to clear up your mind. Those are the benefits. right? And then the features are kind of mixed in there. Track and show your exact revenue, expenses, and profit, right? That's the feature. So it's kind of mixed in there together. It'll kind of depend. Sometimes I'll list out like in bullet point format, the benefits and then the features. But again, it depends on the product. So moving on with this Etsy accounting spreadsheet, all you have to do is 1, download step-by-step instruction PDF, 2, click on the Google Sheet link, 3, effortlessly download and upload your Etsy sales data right into the spreadsheet, 4, add any extra expenses, and that's it, right? So the reason I added this in here is because this product specifically is a digital product, which is kind of confusing to a lot of sellers. So it's kind of a benefit and feature is it's easy to use, right? So I'm kind of showing how easy it is to use, which is also a feature, right? Here's how it works, right? Here's how the product works. Here's what's included. So again, it's kind of mixed in there a little bit, but we started with the features of easy and makes tax season an absolute breeze and listing some of the features. So here's number 1, how it works, right? Because they need to understand that first of like, okay, I can understand what this product even is. That's a feature. And then as soon as you complete these 4 simple steps, the easy Etsy bookkeeping spreadsheet will automatically and cleanly display all of your vital sales, expense, and profit information for tax season and personal business growth, right? So again, there's the features. Automatically, cleanly display all of your vital sales, expenses, and profit information. It's actually going to create automatic graphs for you. This works even if you're terrified of Excel or have tried to use complicated spreadsheets or tools in the past with poor results. So again, this is kind of continuing with the features. If you're still unsure, this tool is easy to use and will do every single thing you need it to do. This full step-by-step video tutorial will show you exactly how the tool works, right? Boom. And obviously I just put in youtube.com, but I would put in a link right to a YouTube video, for example, or even just a simple Loom video. And this is great for a lot of different products, especially digital products that maybe are a little bit more complicated, is a lot of people, especially on Etsy, it's kind of limited in terms of like describing the product. So if you want to know exactly what this product is, boom, we're going to lay it out all here for you in video format, visually. We're going to walk you through. And that's exactly what I did. I just recorded a very simple YouTube video like this, which is my screen, and went through this product of like, so here's what it is. Here's how it works. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what it does. Boom, that's it. And that has helped increase conversions huge. And that's another kind of point to call out is that yes, you can include links that are outside of Etsy in your Etsy product description. Now contrast that with Amazon. If you even try to include a link in your Amazon product description, you get your listing shut down or even your Amazon account shut down and get completely suspended, right? So that's crazy to me that Etsy allows this, but I'm really happy for it. So some sellers do is they'll drive traffic to their website or other places. I wouldn't recommend that. Only if that link is going to help someone actually purchase on Etsy is what I would include. If not, I would leave it out, right? Because it's only distracting people. If someone's on Etsy, they want to buy on Etsy, right? And then you start taking them to your website. Someone will go to your website, they'll click, it'll take some time to load. They'll be kind of unsure, oh, this is kind of sketchy. They'll exit out and they'll like forget about you forever. It's not a smart thing to do to include your website necessarily, unless you have a video there or, some kind of instruction guide or something like that, right? So anyway, this is the purpose of this is step number, if we go back up here, 7, to resolve any final doubts that they have, to make sure you know exactly what this is, how it works, and how it's the best solution to your pain point. And as you can see, we continue on with step 7 here because this product price point is around $40. And when your product price point starts getting up in that kind of $50, $60, $70, $100 range, the longer your description has to be and the lower your conversion rate's going to be, because in general, there's kind of this impulse buying area, $10 to $20 products. Very easy to just kind of plop down a credit card, buy them, without much thought. The higher it goes, 30, then you get to 40 and 50 and 60. And the higher you go, the less people are going to buy just because it's more expensive. There's going to be more convincing that's needed, especially, with e-commerce. So just kind of keep that in mind. The higher price your product is, the longer your description is going to need to be. Now, don't just write random words, but you need to kind of reassure them. And in this case, because it's getting a little bit more in that range at the $40 price point, I need to kind of add more and give them more reassurance. And there's actually more places I can also input keywords, which you kind of see here as well. But again, we kind of started here uncertainty number 1. Is this really easy to use? Because you claim that it is. Is it? Here you go. You can actually see exactly how easy it is to use here. Okay, great. Another hesitation. Okay, does it track everything? Like, what does it track exactly? Like, because you said it tracks all expenses, all profit. Does it? And then we kind of, rest that assured with, we track Etsy sales and revenue, total units sold, product refunds, discounts and coupons, shipping expenses, Etsy fees, etc., all the way down. And this is all true, right? So it tracks all of this information. And these are actually all keywords that I want to include in my Etsy description to increase ranking, right? So like Etsy ROI calculator, Etsy profit and loss tool, Etsy net margin calculator, right? Or spreadsheet, right? Because I have these keywords in here, it can kind of help me increase rank for those types of phrases. All right. So again, we're still continuing on with step number 7 of resolving any potential hesitations that a shopper would have before buying. And then on top of this, just by watching the training video accompanied with this tool, you will actually learn how to save more money on taxes every year and how to know if your business is healthy, right? It's actually not just showing you how to use the tool, but it's actually training you and giving you some tax tips and overall, profit tracking tips that's going to alone improve your business, even if you don't use the tool, right? Another hesitation people have, right? So you see how each of these blocks focuses on a specific hesitation. And what I try to do is, what is the biggest hesitation someone has? Start with that. What's the second biggest hesitation? That's number 2. Is there anything else? Okay, there's a third one. Then do the third. Is there any more? Okay, there's a fourth. Then do the fourth, right? So again, with lower price products, there won't be as many. The higher price, there's going to be more hesitations people have before plopping down, a bigger chunk of money. So because of that, I wrote down, I analyzed a lot of my competitor reviews before kind of writing this description. I even asked other Etsy sellers about their pain points, right? So I have actual data on Etsy sellers telling me like, hey, here's what we're looking for in an Etsy bookkeeping tool. So I know exactly what kind of hesitations they have before buying, right? That's really important if you want to write your description, is to absolutely read through your competitors' reviews and look at the negative reviews. What are the problems with that product? And make sure you design your product to be better than theirs. And that's one example. You can also look at keyword data and others, which we cover in our affordable Etsy course, which will be linked in the description as well. And anyway, so with that, thinking about the price, right? You're worried about it. The tool pays for itself. If your time is worth $20 per hour and you save just 2 hours of time each year by automating your taxes, while most sellers save an average of 6 hours, this tool will pay for itself. While other monthly Etsy accounting tools and services, so it's like the price, literally, this will pay for itself multiple times over while saving your sanity. And then while other Etsy accounting tools and services, and guys, I promise you, I'm not trying to sell you on this. I'm literally just giving you an example of a description that would make sense to you as a seller. But you can kind of see how salesy this description is. And by the way, it works, right? It gets people to convert. So while other monthly Etsy accounting tools and services like QuickBooks and GoDaddy, which are my top two of my competitors, can cost anywhere from $12 to $90 a month, the easy Etsy bookkeeping spreadsheet, you only have to pay one time, which could make this your highest returning investment this year, right? So again, showing it that it's an investment, kind of talking about the price point again, showing how it's better than other tools, right? Because some hesitation might be, Sumner, I think these other tools are better than yours. Let me go with them. Well, here's where we're better than these other tools. If you go with them, that's fine, right? But here's how our tool is specifically designed to be better for you, right? And because this is the most valuable Etsy bookkeeping and accounting tool on the market, the price will increase soon, which it will. So add to cart now, right? So there's the scarcity right there. The price will increase, or it could be there's only 40 in stock until they're sold out. That could be especially if you have unique items. So add to cart now, right? Very simple, right? You can get rid of the scarcity part, but that really does help increase conversions. And we end with that simple phrase, add to cart now, which increases people adding to cart and purchasing, right? So, seemed like a mouthful, right? Had to kind of speed through going through this, and it looks like a lot, but when you take it in chunks, so number one, knowing who your audience is, right? Through the review data, through keywords, maybe you are your own audience and knowing them well, and then breaking it down into each of these sections, it makes it so easy. Just do one section at a time, write the next one on their own. Then you can kind of read through them mesh together, and you might have to tweak some things a little bit, but that's the way I would approach it. And once you're done with that, the third and final step is to then kind of take some of those keywords from your keyword list and just kind of place them strategically in, as you can kind of see I've done here, in many different places, right? So in general, longer descriptions are going to help you because it's going to increase the likelihood of someone actually purchasing when you do it correctly, and that's more room for you to input important keywords, okay? And I hope you found this content valuable. Remember to get your free Etsy description template in the description section of this video. And if you like this video, you'll love this playlist that Ali and I have put together, walking you through how to create the best Etsy keyword list with the best Etsy keyword tool that most sellers don't even know about, Etsy title and tag formulas, obviously this Etsy description video, all images, all of that here in this playlist. So be sure to click on that. And as always, thank you so much for watching and your support. God bless you and your business. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.